Yeah, that's her shop. So
Oh, I didn't know that. So are we the only one?
now it looks like everybody's there. Sarah's there, and
I'm not. Oh, I'm over on this other thing.
On my reminder, we're recording today.
Are you recording us?
I'm trying. Can you hear me okay?
I'm at the Galaxy cabin.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
that's some thick paper.
All right, we're gonna. Oh,
Lester's in Indiana.
Indiana.
Indiana. I've never been to Indiana.
If you've ever seen a strip mall,
The last one was supposed to be able to touch the one. Shoot. Okay. Well, part of tonight's activity is to test the streaming, and I thought I had it, but I don't have it. So hang on a second. Everybody's got the cough, the dreaded cough. Lester's taking social distancing very seriously.
Hello. So many people.
Hey,
It's a jam-packed audience.
I know, right?
Hello. You made it.
I made it. I made it. Promise. I promised Patrick. I don't know who else.
I did hear the promise.
I did. Yeah.
Wow.
He made me swear.
Not even just the pinky pair, like the pinky swear where you like kiss the thumb. It's
Yeah, that was weird. I had to
that's-
learn. I hadn't known.
like triple dog dare, but
This is your dad friendship.
It's the dad coming out.
I mean, Sadie's the one who taught me that like it's more powerful if you feel it.
Oh, really? I have not been.
Oh,
yeah.
pinky swears. Pinky swears are.
You don't break them.
No.
I mean, he pushes us to come see you at the bus stop.
All right, I think we've got 4 board members. Let me see if I can do some sharing.
I know, think you're sitting around in drugs, right? Just he's like the pusher.
Well, maybe that's why.
No, no.
Oh, it's not
Ambrose
just a
not-
board meeting.
You gotta push something no matter what.
That they're gonna start recording it.
Oh, it's not.
Streaming. You might wanna.
Hello. everybody.
They can hear my comments on pinky swears. I'm popular.
Night, so.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right.
I don't know if Patrick got my time.
I might have gotten it.
Mhm.
Am I an editor on this or not?
It should be. I sent it to your board. friends.
everybody who is present, are we in good shape to start?
We do have a quorum.
Okay, Jackie said she's leaving the ER, I think, and she will be here in probably 15, 20 minutes or so. I think in person, but I'm not sure. Okay, thanks for coming, everybody. I can't quite see who all is there. Patrick, if it's all right with you, would you write down the names there just for the notes there? Make sure we get everybody there. And then Karen, thanks for joining us from the cabin, and everybody, wonderful. Happy December. Let's start the meeting at 7:02 Pacific Standard Time. They gotta do the math. Okay. Let's do public comments. Public comment maybe include suggestions or objective criticism of operations or programs, but the board will not hear complaints concerning individual personnel, and the board will hear comments but not engage in discourse with the public in this meeting as per our training. So
That's the main reason I'm here, but it was about the policy proposal. So you want that now or later?
Now is
Okay. Okay, well, I'm Michelle. Here's Mom. We happened to glance at them for once. We don't really do one of the emails, but thank you we did, because there are a couple things. The first one being the one for putting curtains in every room. and doing pledges. American flags? Yeah. And Oregon flag.
Okay.
I'm not as concerned about the Oregon one, but saluting a flag and posting them up, big ones in every classroom. As a disabled vet, married to a disabled vet, we have big problems and issues with that. We aren't fans of, vaccination disguised as patriotism, which is really all it is.
Whose was this?
Schools of it.
So Jackson is one. Yep. Like at 1 point. And Daddy, you got 3. How do you get 1?
The other one was just one thing in the sex ed. Oh, technically 2 things, but they're kind of listed together. And the for something. The emphasis on abstinence and monogamy, which are just 2 very relatively heteronormative things to put in sex ed. And the other being no discussion of gender in any way in there. And or before they start realizing what orientation they are or anything like that, they start realizing what gender they are. That starts being set and coming out around 2 or 3 years old, actually. And so to have no discussion of that, of how they might be feeling or thinking when those discussions are happening with the kids. Like you having a kid getting upset with them about using both bathrooms. So clearly those are discussions that should be happening at this age, and it's not in there. So like it should be adoption should wait. But I would firmly advise against the flag one. We pulled our older kid out of preschools for this.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm a little distance away. I think you're done. I can't quite tell.
Yeah, I'm all good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other public comments?
Oh, maybe I should make a quick comment.
Sure.
I'm Alex Goldner. I'm just here watching tonight, and possibly if you need another member for the board in the future, I would be willing to serve.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming, both of you. Thank you. Okay, any other public comments? I think Nicole joined us, what I could gather.
And I'm afraid my original streaming link didn't work. So my staff are texting me that it's not working. So I'm sorry, I'm rudely on my phone just telling them to try the new link.
Okay, Nicole, do you have a public comment?
No, I was just saying hi. I was on the YouTube
Okay.
channel first and then realized it wasn't working.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So it was a wave, not a hand raise.
Hard to tell the difference sometimes. All right, thank you. Wonderful. Thanks for being here, everybody. Okay, let's move on to Karen. Are you ready with the treasurer's report?
We didn't lose Karen, did we?
Trying to figure out how to see that.
There we go. Is that a year ago, we had $100,000 more in receivables than we do now. And of course, that will put more pressure on our spending because we don't have that money coming in. Then I went through, I'm not real good at Google, and I'm trying to learn it. And so Google Sheets gave me a little trouble today. So Sarah, did you ever get that paper?
I don't think so. Let me triple check.
That's fine. What I did is list where we're over like I did last time. And it took me probably an hour to figure out how to turn the numbers into money. But I figured it out. So anyhow, it must have not got to her. We're having a budget meeting committee next month, and I think it would be a better time to really look at this with that group. and see where we are for the rest of the year. We're spent just about half of what, which is usually pretty accurate. December, January, spending half because we don't spend that much money in June other than for salaries for 2 months. So from there, we just have to look good. There's a few things I'll talk to Tanya about because I can't name names, but other than that, that's all I have to say.
Okay. There's some issues down at the Ashland School District I've been following that are maybe not relevant directly to us, but anyway, a lot of people are doing just what you mentioned there, Karen. Thank you. Kind of subtly related to, can you hear me okay? Jessica looks confused, maybe more confused than I am. I did talk with the folks over at Tokyo, and we're planning on doing it again, and we have a similar schedule with a similar number of kids maybe, so I think we can kind of plan on that if everybody's on board still for an exchange next summer. That should bring in some money.
Really appreciate you handling that. That's not an easy task.
I'm finding a lot of interest in doing it next year, so hopefully it'll be much. Hopefully we can get this rolling and actually start asking for more kids coming up. So yeah.
Good. Thank you for doing that.
I also wonder if we ought to start selling Christmas trees. I don't know how many people bought Christmas trees, but there's
We got a farm pretty close by.
right next door. Yeah.
I didn't say low cost of appropriation.
We have small children just going, yeah.
Jessica, how dare you?
We're being live streamed.
All right. Principal Danforth, are you ready with the ED update?
I think so. I will try and present this, share this tab instead. And if I can, oh, it's behind a thing. I don't know how to make this a little smaller, but I didn't even start at the beginning. You guys, it's been a long day. So let's start with dashboard. This is all our normal metrics. We have a little bit more in the fundraising department. I think we went up by 600 this month. Finally got actual attendance numbers. These are real and not too bad, but no arrows because I didn't do a comparative on this one yet. Enrollment, we still have a 24 student opportunity, 106 students enrolled at the moment. We just dropped a campaign to the homeschoolers. The postcards are in mailboxes. We get, for anyone who's not heard my spiel before, we get a list from the Oregon Department of Education of all the students who homeschool in the area. We did a campaign to them last year and were able to attract a couple of families. And then this year I got greedy and asked for like more areas. So we were hitting up Monroe and Elsie and I think, no, we didn't do Albany because it's too big. And then Philomath in addition to Corvallis.
Well, just postcards or?
Postcards. Mm-hmm. It's a little wish you were here sentiment and some invitations to come take a tour. And literacy numbers are the same as last month, and upcoming dates are the same as well. Or rather, they're the same as the newsletter, I should say. Any questions about dashboard data? Pretty straightforward at this point. And the big shining star, the teachers on the call are probably rolling their eyes because I've been taking this data through town and bragging to just about anybody who will possibly listen to me and some who don't want to listen to me because I am so excited. So this year, every year, the Oregon Department of Education publishes, they used to call it the school report card, and they now call it an at a glance. And it's the same information, but it's just a different name. And so they are reporting on a variety of metrics, demographics, things that are in our control, things that are out of our control. And it just is across the board, the same people collecting the same data so that you can really look at growth, or demographic information. So when I started here, we had some concerns about specifically the science number, which when I first saw it was 19% out of 100, and it had previously been 91% out of 100. And so this was like the post-COVID fallout thing, and that was one of my main focuses from last year, and the teachers were incredible. We got a new curriculum for them. They stepped up. They did all of the inane data collection that I asked them to do, and it really made a difference. So all of our scores went up this year by double digits, up. So if you can, I don't know if you can see, but the 77 is our overall percentage. There's a comparative number down there, that's Oregon's number. And then the arrow shows how much we went up or down. There's a lot of up arrows. And math also went up by 19% compared to Oregon's 37%. Science went up by 33%. And because I'm also still greedy, I want to know more of everything. And we're also doing this annual report for the district. And last year's annual report, I had to say, well, we're below where we want to be. These numbers aren't beautiful. We're working on it. And this year I changed it. And I said, I think we're now on par with Corvallis School District. And I just wanted to be sure. How on par are we? And so I compared it to every single elementary school in Corvallis. If you don't count Franklin, and I don't think we should because they have K through 8, not K through 5, we are the top performing school in Corvallis School District.
These numbers are absolutely stunning. And I want to give a big shout out to you, Sarah, as well as to every single adult at the school. It really, I can't believe the difference.
Here, here. Way to go, teachers, and Sarah too. Wow.
I thought they'd be a little bit better, but I didn't really expect that. So anyway,
those are better. They're bigger than baby steps, the improvement you made.
I sent a nice printed out copy to Melissa Harder just so that she can keep it in her mind.
And Sarah, I actually went through a little bit to the greater state numbers, and like aside from a couple of schools in Lake Oswego and those areas, we're right at the top of the state in a lot of these areas. So way to go, teachers.
Was this just the back of the postcard you sent to the homeschool students?
Right, the whole postcard, just hello. But I did
love to have you here, and then this is the back.
Flash it up on Facebook and took a lot of undue credit for it. So yeah, this is what's going to be on everything from now on. So last month was a very busy month, but I didn't have very many bullet points on my slide. We did celebrate Native American Heritage Month, and the teachers stepped up and did a lot of really interesting and important lessons in the classroom. And I was able to wander through, and I just found it really heartwarming to see how much they were digging into the subject matter. The Heritage Theme Months came out of our JEDI committee, the Justice, Equity, Inclusion, and Diversity Committee. And that was something that we said, it's the kind of low-hanging fruit. We don't do it here. And we want the kids to understand about multiculturalism. So let's just help the teachers understand how they can bring it to the kids and make it easier for them. Just like give them curricula on a platter or ideas and share resources so that they can just do that work without having to stretch too much farther. And some of the teachers are extremely passionate about some heritage months and other heritage months, and they're learning and they're sharing, and it's actually really nice to see. We did the movie night, we did the dine out, started the staff evaluation process, but I have to be really clear, it's just barely started, and we're going to talk about it tonight a little bit more. And then we have our committee meetings in full swing. We've got the JEDI, the SST, leadership, and PLC meetings. And those are SSTs happening weekly, and the others are happening monthly. But this month is a short month, and the list is long. So I don't know. Can't figure it out. I know we're also exhausted. We did have the sing-along already. We've launched the Papa's Pizza fundraiser. which has already earned $500. We've got about $500 in our cash bag just from excited kiddos who were like, here's all our money. And that was a fun one because Papa's doesn't expect any payment back. They're giving all of the raised funds to us, which is extraordinarily generous. So everybody go buy a Papa's pizza because they also sponsor a lot of our pizza parties. So if a classroom earns a pizza party, we just call them up. We're like, hey, we need 4 pizzas. And they're like, come pick them up. So they're really incredible. Crafty and Read Along are coming up. That's on the 19th, I believe, next Thursday. And staff and student celebrations. What did I mean by that? I think that was just like classroom parties. Postcard campaigns for the homeschool families I already talked about. And the annual report is, I think, ready to go. I sent you guys, board members, a sneak preview of that. And I have a couple of people on the staff looking it over just to make sure I haven't.
When do you present?
When
do you present?
Present on the 16th of January. So the requirement is 2-part. I have to give them the annual report at the end of December, and then I present in January. And BLM plans. I've got a 2-part update on BLM. I think you asked about it, right, Jessica? So the first one is that they have offered 90 trees for the staff to plant. Well, not the staff to plant, for them to plant along with the kids and staff. And Mika is kind of spearheading a plan for like where and how to do that. And that's our immediate, like today, collaboration with BLM. And they're actually kind of ready to pull the trigger anytime, but it's looking like January. And then the other piece is the BLM restoration grant. And I'm not going to talk too much about that tonight, but I'm going to send you guys home with something to read that is like our current draft. It's incomplete, but it's at least a start because I'm going to ask you to approve me seeking the grant, because I think with our new policies, that is a requirement. But it's not ready to do today. And then the other thing that came across my inbox that I think is, I skipped training and standard response protocol lockdown drill. Sorry. So that is something that we did at the end of last year. And that's for things like lockdowns, but it's also for things like holds and secures, which is something that we're utilizing more. It's like an escalation of response from the kiddos. So a hold is everybody see in your classrooms for a little bit. Something's happening in the hallway that we don't want everybody involved in. And boy, these students like to get involved in anything. So like when we want, like if we can keep them in, that's what we're going to do for a few minutes. We can resolve it, but like just stay where you are. Don't go to the bathroom right now. And then there's a secure, which is like, there's something happening outside. There's a, it used to be the sheep, when the sheep came onto the playground, or we had a wounded goose or whatever it was. It was like, we're going to keep in here while we solve the problem. We don't need 100 children helping. And sometimes it's student related as well. So we're practicing those response protocols. Those happen more frequently, the hold and secure. But of course, the lockdown is if there is an imminent threat from an outside source. So just like fire drills, we got to practice them.
Are you going to send something to the parents before you do it, just so they know the language and everything?
Yeah, today we had kind of a surprise drill on the hold and secure, because we did have a situation where we needed to use the hold and then it kind of migrated to secure, but it was just, it was kind of student related and we just needed to keep people put. And then when we do our drill, we will definitely communicate to families, because I know there's a lot of anxiety around that and conversations that need to happen ahead of time and maybe even afterward. So yes, lots of communication. And then the other thing across my inbox was this ODE SPED staff stipend application. I had not heard about this until a few days ago, but ODE has approved $8.9 million for stipends to go to staff that support kids in special education. And there's some guidelines around who qualifies for that. The way I read it, many of our staff qualify for it.
Yeah.
And it's like 75%. If the staff member spends 75% of their job supporting students who are in special education, and that can be like IEPs, it can be 504s, and in the process of becoming eligible for those things, that they should be eligible for the stipend. And it's just money that goes straight into the hands of the staff who do the work. And so the application is next month.
Is
I'm
that
excited about it.
money to the staff and like above their salary that they currently get?
Yes, stipend.
All right.
I'm so proud of
Good for
Oregon for this. I hope it works the way that it's intended to. Of course, the district is going to be managing like all of that for our sped staff
So
that we borrow from them, but
not to be a wet blanket,
Yeah.
since the district handles all of our sped, are we eligible for those funds?
I think so, because I mean, there's a huge FAQ page, and I read it twice. Because if you're a classroom teacher and you have 6 kids in your class and they're in your classroom 75% of the time, then that counts. You're supporting those students 75% of your day. So I'm going to make the application, and we'll see what ODE says. But it feels like a possibility, and it always feels good to be able to give a tangible thank you to the people who are working so hard every day to support the kids who need the extra help.
It'd be phenomenal if they could get that. Yeah.
Hope. I decided to try and be more efficient with my staff, like classroom share outs this month. And so I just copied it out of the newsletter. It might look kind of familiar, but it's really just the same information. You guys can look through if you'd like, or maybe you probably already saw it when you were emailed. But what I like about this month is that we have a couple of, I said like 2 or 3 of the classrooms who collaborated on a project, and that's what they wanted to share out. So we're seeing more of those multi-age groupings this year, which I think is exciting to the board, and it's exciting to me. The kids love it. Hey, Jackie. And again, we have our specialists in there too, which is great. I threw in the Gaga Ball tournament because it was just such a fun thing. Sort of a weird activity, but it was great to show up to Ashbrook with our 5th graders, and we got a couple of 6th grade ringers from last year. And they got 3rd place out of everybody and had a great time. And Jackie, that concludes my executive director update.
Excellent.
Any questions about anything in there?
How did Winter Sing go?
It was so beautiful.
I wish I was able to come, so it was well done.
It was well done. The kids each classroom sang a song, and they were all dressed up in their little cute outfits. And then we had a ton of families come too. We had to get out more chairs. And then there was the trivia, which Evangeline just to kind of keep the families entertained too and involved. And then there was one big group number, the Muddy Creek Miss finale. Fantastic.
Good.
I think it might have been the most well-attended production in my 6 years at the school. I can't say for sure that's true, but
That was what a lot of parents said. The PTO even raised $500 from concessions.
Oh, good.
Don't mind if we do. There's some good hot dogs.
very good. Wonderful. Feel like we've got a lot of momentum right now in the school. So way to go, everybody, especially you teachers and staff that are attending. Wonderful. Okay, anything else, Sarah?
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much. We need a couple of officers. Jackie, who will be here any minute, I'm guessing.
Look at that.
She walked in. Hey, wonderful. Patrick, if you happen to be there, could you jot down? We had Emily has joined us since we started. Thank you, Emily, for coming. I don't know your last name. Emily Mace, M-A-I-Z-E. Thank you, Emily. if you could write down those just to make sure our notes stay current. So Jackie
Think so.
has agreed to be the vice president, which is wonderful. Thank you, Jackie. We're still looking for a secretary, which truthfully, secretary used to be the hardest job besides teacher and principal. But now that we're recording and have a transcript taker, it's not nearly as daunting. So I don't know if anybody who's in the room there wants to step up tonight, or we can also wait another month.
So basically that's Patrick or I, or Jamie, who's not here.
Jamie, who's not here, yeah.
Jamie, Jamie can't be,
Yeah.
but Jamie can't be secretary because a lot of times she's in her car driving.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, you can't take Teslas are Ford.
I'm just saying.
Well, and one of the things that I learned with the transcripts is they're pretty accurate, but the problem is that it's like I'm logged in as me, so it thinks I'm saying everything. And so the task is really to go through and kind of put the right names next to the right conversation. So that's a little bit of a pain. Well, I don't know if it's worse to like go afterward and do the changes, or if it is like typing in the moment. But I guess that would be the decision of the secretary.
What
probably.
do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, would you like better?
Which way would you like to do it?
Sure, to go ahead and keep everything parliamentarian. We need to go ahead and vote on Jackie's vice presidential nomination.
It's actually an appointment.
It's an appointment.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
According to the bylaws.
Oh.
I was reading the bylaws today because I wanted to make sure we got it right.
But did Lester appointed her?
Appointed. You can't see my finger, but it's pointing.
Presidential appoint?
Mhm.
Oh, so Lester, you could appoint someone like Patrick to be the secretary.
As I said to Sarah earlier, I would love to have buy-in on that job, but if we get down to it, one thing that I thought, Sarah, thanks for going through and adding the names. I know we didn't finish it, which is why we're not approving those notes tonight. But I wonder if we could just say speaker for all those. I mean, do we need to know who said everything exactly?
I don't know. Maybe that's a question for Kristen. So I logged in tonight as IT, Muskrat or whatever, and so it won't have anybody's name unless it'll have your name because you're speaking from your account, and it'll have Karen's name because she's speaking from her account. So the rest will be like just IT.
Because if it could just say speaker, we could do a search and change the name at that, and it would be 2-minute job. But
They're not fingers. It's okay.
Are we? The live stream is still recorded and able to be accessed afterwards, correct?
Yes.
With a question mark.
Well, that's part of the test tonight. It is also recorded locally, and so what I did last time, because the stream didn't work also, was I just uploaded the video to YouTube. So it's captured.
Okay.
So the other thing that we can do, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The other thing we can do that I didn't do is we can enable like captions, and so when the person is watching, the go kind of at the same time. We try
But, I'm wondering too if having in the minutes that we vote on, if linking the live stream would cover part of that whole who said what when. It was talking about pinky promises and all that.
Yeah.
the only other thing is when we vote, it's nice
Well,
to
you can
put
ask
those votes at the top of the minutes so that when we go back in 6 months, you could just see what those decisions were. But that's about the only real function. In the old days, you have to type everything out, so.
Yeah, I think we can ask Kristen if, what specifically is the requirement, and then we can make that work.
Okay, Patrick, Jessica, any volunteering yet, or do we need to have some conversations later?
Go ahead.
Oh.
Patrick, is that a...
That's it. Take it.
All right, wonderful, Patrick. Thanks for stepping up. You used to spend hours doing that. I'm guessing it's not going to be that for you. So thank you. Wonderful. Okay. Pointing.
I'm going to abuse my power. Just let that be known.
All right. Sounds good.
All right,
And don't
quadrant
forget to serve
demonstratum.
as-
Thank you. All right,
I look forward to
moving
seeing
along.
Good,
So we've been, sorry, what was that, Jessica?
I look forward to seeing good jokes in the notes.
Wonderful. If you've been following along, and if you haven't been, I'll explain real quick. We've been working with OSBA for a while now to update our policies to make them consistent with their legal recommendations. Karen, how long have we been working on this?
I don't like policies.
I feel like the project was
For
underway
10 years
before.
I know of.
Feel like it was underway when I came on the board before COVID, but we've been at it seriously and going back and forth with them. Sarah, thanks for all your effort there. I think we're ready to vote on changing over those policies, and I think it's a good idea if we do it. Any discussion here?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions and a few. There's one under the section of executive director's contract section. It says the public charter may provide health benefits for the executive director that is no longer employed by the public charter school until the executive director, one, which is 65 years of age, or two, finds new employment that provides health benefits. I know we're all having good conversations about healthcare right now, and it's very important, but this could leave the school paying for somebody's health insurance for 10 years after they're employed, like this could bankrupt us. So I'm wondering why it's in here, and does it have to be in here?
A lot of the customization that we did to this package was only around mays and wills and musts. Like there were a lot of those choices for word. And so I think the will is a lot different than may. And so I tried to approach it with the highest level of flexibility possible, because, we're all people who may move in and out of roles. And so I wanted to give future board and ED like all the options instead of just saying will or must or can't. In a lot of cases, you'll see those mays. And so then it becomes at the discretion of the board. It doesn't say that you are going to pay me until I'm 65 or whatever. It's that you have the option. And I think that comes into play when you're balancing someone who is retiring, and there might be like a gap between retirement and PERS, and it would be months. And certainly the problem with my memory is that I did this last December. And so I can't remember if that was something that was legally required or if it was just part of boilerplate. I can try and get the binder and see. But most of what, and I should say that we can adopt the policies as is, you can, and at any point, you can make changes to it. Once they're adopted, you can hear public comment, you can do a town hall, you can exercise your right to change. There are many that have to stay because it's law. But there are also many that can be customized. But yeah, in my effort, I was just trying to give anybody who is on the board or in the EDC options. Do I get the binder? I can try and figure out what that was like.
It's like, yeah. If you get the binder, that means you have to look and see, is this a law? Is this
Yeah, it just has all my
binder would
notes
do.
from all of the that we had. And so
Yeah.
I had a lot of questions that Kathy had brought up too, and was told, no, you may not change that because that is the law. And so it's just, it refreshes my memory to say, this is still in the policies because we're not allowed to take it out of the policies.
Yeah.
Let me just go run
Yeah,
and
that'd
get
be
the
great.
screenshot. I don't know. How many notes, please?
When Brian Trailer we did a lot of policy, and you could see where it had been changed over maybe 10 different times, and you'd put your name and the date, and then you'd change it. And then 2 years later, they'd want it changed again. So it's all recorded. So it is a fluid document.
When I read that, I imagined a scenario where the ED had a disease of some kind, and there was going to be a gap, and like you could enter insurance or you could keep it to fill the gap. You know, I've done that with them. You know, anyway, yeah.
No veterans preference either. Yeah, I don't.
It's trying to build at the very top so it would squeeze out.
I make use of discounts when they exist, but I don't.
All right, Jessica, what section was that? Remember?
This was in executive director's contract section.
With a number.
Oh, here, let me see. I have my printed out copy because I can't read on the computer. Saved my life for that long. It would be.
Job description. Probably the HR section, right? The J or whatever it was.
It is code CBC. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, code CBC. CBC. Yeah. Okay.
She is the under the recruitment and appointment. There it is. CBC. I have no notes on that page.
Because there's no, it looked, when I looked at the staff information, it didn't look like there was anything like that for staff too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just for executive director contracts. I'm wondering, yeah, like it seems very specific.
It's no longer on high button.
In this section.
Well, I mean, the other thing that when I was checking with OSBA this week was they said that if you have like minor changes tonight, you can make them, and I can, because they still have to process through some of the documents, like chunk them out so that we can post them on the website and more digestible than 2 gigantic PDFs. So if that's something you guys wanted to adjust, I can send that as an a modification.
Is it a
Along with
may or a will?
It's a may. The public
So it's
charter
not-
school may provide health benefits for an executive director that is no longer employed by the charter school.
So it isn't saying we have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, yeah.
So theoretically, that's one where if that situation did arise, the board would have to vote on it. Like,
I would know.
The question.
You'd have to agree.
Mhm.
When it says may, it's a vote.
Okay. Yeah. And there's no
I don't have a
precedent
problem
that
with that.
anybody, no precedent that this has ever been used.
I don't
No-
think
I mean,
here.
obviously, none of us.
But it does, I just know that it gets a little tricky with PERS and retirement age. And so that's my only guess as to why that would be in there. If they were retired, but they needed to wait a few months. It was insane.
I like leaving it.
Okay. But then should
Especially
we
since
put it
it's-
in for staff too, right? Like, why is it only executive director and not staff?
It's the way it came to me. We made no changes on that page.
So I've not been able to go and read through a bulk of the policies that are in there. Oddly enough, the flag one, I did go ahead and I went down that rabbit hole and started clicking on hyperlinks. And the language that's in there is mandated by the state. I found that one out. One thing I was curious about, though, I thought comment we heard brought up a good point. Are you aware of, I guess I will call it updated curriculum around sex ed? That are like, I guess, are we teaching to like an updated curriculum that is more inclusive? Is there updated curriculum out there that we should be teaching to?
So right now, the curriculum that we use is what Corvallis School District uses, which is the Great Body Shop. And that is, I think, extremely inclusive, and our staff is super focused on being inclusive for gender and
You said
sexual
Great Body
orientation.
Shop?
Great Body Shop. Sexual orientation and gender is really important to our staff, and actually our council just did lessons for all of the classrooms around just general body safety and autonomy. And of course we have people in our population who are do not fit into a binary assignment for gender or sexual orientation. And I think this is a really unique place because that is something that we, in Corvallis at large, it's something that we really include in our inclusivity bucket. We want everybody to feel that they belong in this school. So that said, all of that said, we don't use a curriculum to teach that, but it is something that we believe strongly in, and we make sure that is reinforced in classrooms.
And teachers follow the ODE.
Yeah, like the Aaron's Law. Yeah.
Right.
I would like to move to approve the policies, knowing that we can make changes later if we so desire.
I second.
I have a clarifying question before we vote. The flag, it has to stay in there. We have to have a flag in every.
It's a federal law.
Okay.
The
All right.
the state minimum is students have the ability to salute and pledge weekly. That's
And
again, I clicked on a lot of hyperlinks.
Thank you.
And it is optional. We make sure that the students don't feel like they have to do that. It is always an invitation and never a mandate, because there are very strong feelings about that, and among the staff and the students and the families. So it is not a battle that we often choose.
So there's a Pledge of Allegiance during the big meeting.
That is the only time I do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't believe the teachers do it.
No.
I don't like to live stream that I'm not following the law, but that is kind of where I have to be able to say that I'm doing something. So, but like I said, I try to make it optional, and a lot of families and children do not participate at the all-school meeting.
Okay, we've got a vote unless there's any further discussion there. Ready? Okay, number 5.
Okay, I've got 5 Karen, 5 Lester, 5 Jackie, 4 Jessica. Do we have anybody else show up? I don't think so. What was your vote, Patrick?
I am abstaining from voting because I've not been able to. I don't feel like I've been able to go and read enough of the policies to be able to vote accurately. So I'm going to abstain.
Okay, all right.
Do we still have a quorum with
Yes,
Patrick
that's
abstaining?
4 votes, 4 positive votes, which I get per our new policies passed regardless. However, per our new policies, one thing I would be curious about is it is for a measure to pass. I believe it's a majority of board members, not just a majority of the quorum that's present.
That makes sense.
I have an answer to that.
We should now have a policy for that.
In one of the packets I'm giving you. Oh, in the policies or in the bylaws?
Tomato,
I
tomato.
think it's in the
Bylaws.
bylaws.
Are you a parliamentarian? You should just-
And
I just said
this is part of your homework packet, is to read the bylaws, because you may choose to make updates here as well. But I think there's something in there about voting. I was looking up quorum. Okay, it says, every act or decision done or made by a majority of the directors present, are considered directors according to this document, at a meeting duly held at which a quorum is present in the act of the board of directors, unless the articles of incorporation, these bylaws or provisions of law require a greater percentage or different voting rules for approval of a matter by the board. I don't think I'm any clearer on what I just read.
You said a majority of those present.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard
Not
majority.
equal majority versus an absolute majority.
Unless
Wait,
we make different rules for some.
Unless you have a minimum attendance for a meeting to take place, that can be.
What is it?
Unless you have rules for a minimum attendance of board members for a meeting to take place, then that can be
Minimum is a quorum, so one more than half.
Okay, well, that's great. Kristen
So-
will be very happy that
Yeah,
you've got that.
a majority of those present is what.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to ED goals. We've been working on this a little bit too. Sarah, do you have what you'd like to present there?
I really appreciate your comments. All right, I gotta find my right thing. Okay, so what I want to share with you guys tonight is similar to something that we looked at last month. I'm gonna try and make this bigger for the people in the room. So the Oregon Department of Education has a framework for evaluating classified staff, certified staff, and administrative staff. And it is what all the schools in Oregon use. And that is what this template is from. It's the template that I used last year and this year. So I wanted to just step through it and to show you some of the resources that are available on ODE's site. And I'm hoping that this will be goal-ish enough that we can adopt it. This is what I've developed for my staff and myself for the year. And if it suffices for the board's goals, great. And if you want to continue on with the other goals that you developed, fine. It's fine. I'm going to use these regardless. And if you feel like it's not enough, then you guys can choose to do the other way. There's some redundancy. So I have 2 academic goals and 2 professional learning goals. The OD defines them as student learning goals and professional learning goals. And in the vernacular, we call it slug plug goals because that's just like the acronyms. So if you hear people talk about slug goals, that's what they are. The first one that I want to choose for this year, well, and I should back up actually. Let me back up one more. I don't know if I have it handy. I'm on a different account, but let me bear with me for 1 second. I want to see if I can find my strategic goals. I don't think I can. Darn it. Okay, well, you guys probably remember the strategic goals were very broad and vague, and they were like, have a positive school culture and have academic excellence and sort of down the line, implement collaborative problem solving more. So started with those broad brushstrokes with the staff, and then we met several times as a leadership team and as a full staff to look at how we can take those broad brushstrokes and make them into something that's more tangible for all of us. And it kind of funnels down. So once we have the big strategy goal, then it becomes my strategic focus, and then that goes downstream to teachers and other staff. So first, I chose math to support the academic excellence strategy. All students will demonstrate growth in the area of mathematics fluency and computation by May 2025. I chose math first because we really didn't address it that much last year. We were looking at literacy, we were looking at science. We have the new math curriculum, and it seems like the low-hanging fruit for me because those other scores are on the way up. Math is still closer to what we're seeing as an average score for Corvallis and the state of Oregon. So the students will be assessed using Big Ideas math curriculum, pre and post, formative classroom assessments, and year-end SBAC. I'm asking the teachers to choose 3 or 4 units starting in January that they will do a pre-test, then teach the unit, then do the same post-test, and then monitor the growth of the students from the beginning to the end. It's how we did it in science last year, and it's very standard. Then we have more long-term data, which is the SBAC data. Problematic because the end of the school year is June, and then we get our SBAC data in October. So it's like we can get preliminary data at the end of the school year. We can kind of look it up per student and get kind of a tentative number, but then ODE decides which numbers they're going to pull for their at a glance. So that's why I was not letting myself or you guys get excited about the at a glance raw data. I didn't want to show it because I didn't understand how they were pulling the data, and it appears that they're pulling 3rd and 5th for this year's or last year's at a glance. So anywho, I don't know what their formula is, but it's hard for me to report on SBAC data in the time frame that that this will be contained in. We have a little context, student population data, our little school at a glance. And then our baseline data does not exist for Big Ideas Math. We haven't started doing that data collection yet. We do have baseline data for the at-a-glance report cards. Then we have a growth target of 20% in each grade. That would be for the pre and post test. That will be evaluated for 20% growth, hopefully. And then the 3rd through 5th graders all take the SBAC math test, and at some point in October, I will be able to tell you if it's at 65% or not. Right now, we're at 55%. And then, what is this? Where does it go? Oh, it goes from there to grade level end of year data, pre and post scores. This is where I'll fill in the actuals. And the reason I chose this as a goal is because math scores demonstrated by Muddy Creek on end of year standardized tests have dropped significantly over the past several years, with literacy and science scores being on the rise. Focusing some effort and resource on improving math scores seems like the most logical next step. And then the strategies it will employ as a school is the students will be assessed at the beginning and end of 3 math units to evaluate their progress toward their learning goals. Some teachers love to do this and they'll like overachieve it, and it'll be like 5. So, but 3 is going to be their minimum. Muddy Creek will facilitate student growth in math by implementing a research-based math curriculum. We have done. Teaching the curriculum with fidelity in 1st through 5th graders. Kinder is still using Bridges as per our earlier discussions. Assessing student understanding at the end of each unit taught and supplementing whole group instruction with fluency practice in all grade levels. And then, of course, I'll be monitoring for fidelity and checking in periodically with teaching staff to identify obstacles to success. And teachers will necessarily need the curriculum aforementioned and training. They will have access to the full Big Ideas Math Learning Portal with webinars and technical support for them and their students. So that's math goal. That's how a teacher do a math goal. And then the next is ELA. It follows a similar format, but
Sarah,
yes.
Can I interrupt for a sec?
Yes, please.
Are teachers liking the big ideas?
I have heard a lot of positive feedback. Yes.
Good. Thank you.
They like the low prep of it, and they like that it's like bite-sized. So ELA goal is similar to last year. I just wanted to set expectations correctly. We're already at 77% of 100, which is outstanding. So, the distance from 77 to 100 is a little shorter. I don't expect to see 20% growth. That said, I wanted to mention these color codes. So we use green to show at or above grade level. Yellow is below grade level, but it's like close, they're nearly there. And then red would be well below grade level. So maybe a grade level or two below where they should be for their age. And then our data collection system for literacy, we have a couple of different ways, but I'm going to be primarily focused on Amplify and Dibbles. We will throw the STARS data in there just because we have it for some of the kids, but not all. But the acronyms are middle of year, MOY, and end of year, EOY, and you'll see BOY, which would be beginning of year, somewhere in there too. And again, SPAC scores will be forthcoming. The literacy scores increased dramatically last school year, and our goal is to continue on with that trend. The concern is that with a brand new curriculum and 3 fewer instructional assistants at the school, we are not able to provide the same level of targeted, differentiated instruction as last year. Our goal is to maintain a modest level of growth in all grade areas. Kids are still getting small. Well, I'm going to go through the strategies because it's all in here. Students will be assessed at the beginning, middle, and end of year on their progress toward learning goals using multiple systems of measurement, and will facilitate student growth by utilizing research-based ELA curriculum into reading, HMH, implementing ample and consistent literacy instruction times, including whole group, small group, and intervention. We're still doing all the same pieces we did last year. It's just a little bit bigger groups, and the kids are doing it on rotation. So there's, if you can imagine, 18 kids, and there's 3 groups of them. At any time, one will be with teacher, one might be reading quietly, and one might be working on word work or something. The problematic nature of that is that you can't, the 2 groups are probably not going to be working as hard as one group is. Yeah. So it's better if you can have those extra adults, but we're doing our best with what we've got. Investing in assessment tools like Amplify / Dibbles, and training that support teachers' understanding of student levels and growth goals. So just understanding how to collect the data and how to interpret the data. School-wide implementation of UFly, Read Naturally, and SIPs, all science of reading-based interventions for struggling readers, and training opportunities, data team meetings, that's all the same as last year. For professional learning, we have a little bit different here. Teachers will be provided with curriculum and materials. The reading interventionist will attend UFly and Amplify training in September, which is done. Now this is the new part. Interventionist will also attend Wilson Reading Systems training. And I think you're just planning to do that over winter break. So that's a 3-day training. And then we'll purchase that intervention tool, and then she will be able to implement it. Much better than I can, because I really don't even remember how to do it. So she's going to be doing that. And it's for 3, 4, 5. UFly intervention for K1-2. It's designed for them, and they love it, and it works great. And then Wilson for 3, 4, 5. And they're both considered a tier 3 intervention.
Will 3, 4, 5 teachers also be able to use the tool too, or only?
It would only be for the small percentage of the class that is in that red, that below grade level. So just to catch them up, and it's an extra dose. So they're still going to have whole group reading with their class. They're going to have small group reading, which is leveled. So you have the different reading levels. We'll have different materials and different instruction. And then on top of that, those red readers get the extra 30 minutes of intervention.
Oh, great.
With Ginger or with our sped teacher, depending on their status.
And how does UFly flow into Wilson?
They're both phonics based and kind of dyslexia friendly tools. And so they there isn't like it isn't perfect, but they all follow the same progression. So you start with these letter sounds and these groupings and these practice words, and then it kind of goes in the science of reading based order. And then I think that Wilson does that too, but I don't know where it picks up. So I'm hoping that's one of the questions that Ginger can ask, because I don't know how, if a lot of the programs that we have used or I've used have an assessment tool built in. And so you say, okay, well, we're going to start phonics for reading because it's the one we're going to use today. And then the first thing they do is take a quick assessment, and it's like, where is your level? Where there's 14 books in this program. So which book are you going to start in? UFly actually doesn't have that, but most of the rest do. It's a pretty robust, and it's like industry standard. It's the one that Kathy and Megan were recommending. And I think it kind of checks a bunch of boxes for us. We haven't had anything quite that targeted in 3 through 5, but we haven't also had the need. So last year, the kiddos who were in those grades were getting a different intervention that was targeted for their specific needs. And now we have different, maybe more students who need that and don't have any other ways to get it.
Great. Thank you for adopting that. And when buying that as well, does that mean that if the 4th grade teacher wants to look at it too, they can access it, or is it only?
It's a question mark. So I just sent an inquiry off for a quote. And so I don't know if it's like a site license or if it's per student or whatever, but I should have more information soon. Yeah, theoretically the teachers won't be implementing it themselves because they won't have the time. So they've expressed a desire for someone to help do that for them. And but to your point about paying for it, it is in our early literacy grant. So we have $1,500 already identified for that, for the training and the tool. I threw in the project-based work because that was part of the goals that you guys came up with. It is also part of the strategic goals. Really getting into the nitty-gritty of doing more of that experiential work. So I took a lot of the language from the goals that you wrote. I modified some of it because it's like, in the world of teaching, some of that stuff didn't really apply. So I'll just read through it for anybody on the line. It's probably too little for them to read. By the end of 24-25 school year, each grade level will research, plan, execute, and teach 2 project-based learning. It should be lessons, not opportunities. Lessons with students, staff, and or community. Each project should include design elements provided in the gold standard PBL. I took out the 7 because this is our first year doing that, and it seems unlikely that our teachers will be able to just do the gold standard immediately. So I think that is a little bit, and they're not all of them totally familiar with PBL, so we'll have to do a little training around that. And then for my goal, teachers and coordinating staff are strongly encouraged to incorporate strategies from pedagogy of place, including experiential outdoor learning, standards-based and cross-subject work, authentic projects that matter locally and can be applied globally. And that's straight out of the David Sobel place-based education book. Teachers and coordinating staff are strongly encouraged to incorporate students from ages and grades as well. Presentations can be made at all school meetings, on bulletin boards, with buddy groups, at community events, online, etc. And teaching and supporting staff will be provided with training and resources for both project and place-based learning. Staff will share their plans and outcomes at staff meetings or teacher meetings. PLC groups are encouraged to collaborate as well.
Nice.
And you'll notice the format of the professional growth goals are slightly different. It's just got less information, but it's more open to interpretation by the individual staff member. So I didn't want to make it too tight, but then they can fill in the details. So I shouldn't jump ahead, but they can fill in the details and tell me how they're going to do it specifically. And then the last one was collaborative problem solving. So in May of 2025, all staff will understand and be able to demonstrate use of collaborative problem solving, de-escalation, and collaboration techniques in resolving conflicts with students and peers. The ED counselor and behavior coach will act as CPS implementation focal points and advocates for staff and students. I don't know what that says. It should be just leadership. You can tell I didn't proofread. Leadership team and all staff meetings. I see. We will use leadership team and all staff meetings as a regular forum for encouraging the use of CPS vocabulary and techniques, sharing individual reflection, fielding staff questions, highlighting creative Plan B solutions, etc. We have already done this. Include prompts for and tracking of CPS conversations between staff, students in our behavior referral and behavior tracking form. So anytime that something goes down, we report it on our internal tracking form, and there is already a place that's like, have you had the Plan B conversation? Or who is going to have the Plan B conversation? So it's just, we're trying to weave it into our culture. And of course, I'll monitor the implementation periodically for fidelity and ask for obstacles to success. That's what I'm going to work on this year. And I guess it's up to you guys to decide if that, is meeting your expectations and your needs as a board and as my boss. I added one more little handout to your packet just underneath that one that you're looking at. And it is the standards for administrators.
I'll go first since I feel like it's no secret. I'm the one who's like goal-oriented. Project-based learning, I love that goal. Like detailed and super easy to say yes or no was met.
We have a tracking spreadsheet already.
I have no doubt. But yeah, I mean, like that one, it's very easy to say, like, fifth did these two, third did these two. It's super easy. Number one, for example, students will be assessed using big idea, all students will demonstrate growth in the area of mathematics fluency and competency by May. So the way I read that is like, technically, if one student comes down in their math competency, like that goal's not met, right? So, and also like it doesn't, so like there's almost two different ways to measure, either like every student shows like some measurable increase or each grade level increases by 20%, which if we can go ahead and increase by 20%, love it. But do you think the 20% for each grade level is realistic?
I wondered that too. Yeah.
Like, I think like if it can happen, like and if that is realistic, that would be phenomenal.
I think the way that I'm going to answer by describing how I'm going to measure it. So the growth would be from pre-test to post-test.
Okay.
So if they do a pre-test for multi-digit multiplication and, they score 20%, and then presumably they should be scoring 100% or 90% at the end of the unit, right? They've been paying attention. The teaching is excellent. Everybody understood singing songs. So I actually think that's going to be a low number. They're probably going to bust it out by 70% in each unit. But
so
I don't know.
In the way you're measuring, that's going to be, they're like with the way the curriculum is set up, it's going to measure like milestones as they go on. Not.
And math is broken into very specific units. So we have like operations and computation, and then there's fractions, and then there's geometry, and there's the fluency piece. And so and what's fascinating to me about teaching math is that there are strengths and weaknesses for almost every student. And I spent years teaching multiplication to third graders, and pain and struggle for some kids. Some kids are just like, got it, it's like my thing. And then you have this handful of kids that just can't figure it out. And then you go to fractions, and those kids are like, oh, I have found my home. Like there is a right math for every student. And so that's why I like the idea of tracking it across units, because you're going to see growth for every kid somewhere. And I've never met a kid who doesn't grow a little bit in math every year. But I think comparing that unit data to SBAC data is a little bit tricky because SBAC is like a totally rounded up number. So all that stuff is rolled in and it's more averaging.
So the way the data is measured, it's module, or I forget the word you use for it, but like, so you're able to go and measure students' progression through each module. I'm almost wondering if that goal should be to match what you've got, like the student growth goal down here, like all classes to show 20% growth in their math skills. Like, so that way
we could do that.
Like the measure, that way these two match each other. Because if you've got a spreadsheet and a way to go ahead and show that data, that makes total sense. And then kind of the same thing with goal number 2, the ELA. Like all students to demonstrate growth in the English language area, like
All classes.
Well,
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, like
what I think I hear you saying.
Yeah, like you kind of like in the student growth goal, you kind of have it laid out down here already. So I'm just wondering if like these two should match each other.
They can.
Like I just that way it's straightforward, it's measurable. And then keeping with the measurable piece, what is your way to demonstrate that all staff members are going to use all staff will understand and be able to demonstrate use of collateral problem solving? I'm assuming they're not going to come to the June board meeting and be like, here's my CPS stuff.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways to assess. And one is summative, right? You give them a test. And the other is formative, where you just through observation, you collect your data. You see them using it authentically and you check them off on your spreadsheet, right? I saw Tom Day have an excellent Plan B conversation. I hear Jill Hine using the vocabulary that's associated with collaborative problem solving. And so it's really just observational and binary. So they do it or they don't do it. And I see them do it or I don't see them do it. And we have so many already baked in, like opportunities as a staff to share that information and to talk to each other. And we're almost all trained at this point. So it's been interesting to see the shift in conversations. I'm just, as I'm talking, I'm just recalling like 100 conversations where they've already done that. So it's definitely happened. I think the piece that the next jump for us is going to be doing that more with each other because it's easier to do with kids. But to actually do a CPS conversation among adults in a workplace is actually, it's trickier because we just want to shortcut it. And
I think, and I'm not saying this would be something that I think you could measure, but I'm curious, have you seen a decrease in problem behaviors?
Yes, definitely. I think
because that's
the goal,
right? That's what it's about,
for sure. And it creates that buy-in. I mean, I've had probably 10 CPS conversations this week alone with students. And it's nice when you sit down and say, look, I need your help with this because if I make a decision for you, it's not maybe going to be the same one that you want or that you can do. And so like, calm down, have a snack, and let's troubleshoot. And then if something goes wrong later on, then I can say, look, how did it go? Let's reflect. We said this was going to maybe work and it did this time, but it didn't that time. And so do we need to adjust our plan at all? And like just having those conversations with the kids and sometimes the staff have been great because they get to participate in their outcome and they get to be respected and heard for their truth, which I love. So, did somebody want to say something?
Just when Jackie said that, I'm thinking back to coming out of COVID and behavior issues we were having, and the real reason that we went that way, and thanks to Kathy and Megan and everybody else, the staff now has the same program, and they're working on the same strategies that was not happening a few years ago.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely works.
Do you feel like even the doubters have bought in?
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it's anyone's natural response. It's certainly not at home my natural response. Well, let's talk about this. What could you do differently? How?
Yeah. I think the hardest part for a lot of us, I'll include myself, is timing. Like when to do it, because everybody wants to solve a problem that second, and it is almost never the right time that second. But to be able to kind of assess in that meta moment, like, what am I feeling? Am I dysregulated? Can I stop myself from flying off the handle? And then when can I come back and have, and the kids probably feel the same exact way, and you can't ever solve any problem when everybody's all whipped up. So yeah, I think just taking a little introspection for ourselves and say, okay, I know that we can solve this problem, but maybe in 20 minutes we'll do it, or tomorrow, and we can all be a little more level-headed. That's been a trick.
I mean, I think it would be cool if, and I don't know if you technically, I don't know if you can, because it would be employment records and you can't go and bring those public, but also I think some of those observations that you see, I would really appreciate being able to see some of those.
Maybe anonymized or something?
Yeah. Just because being able to, I don't know, and whether it's recognizing or something to be able to kind of see how this, like for us to be able to see how the staff is incorporating CPS. I know you're seeing it on a daily basis, but it's harder for us to go and see how that's incorporated.
For sure. What it actually would be easy to do, because what often happens is that somebody will roll into the office and they'll be like, oh my God, I had the best CPS conversation with a kid. So they're actually really proud of the work they're doing and the products they're making.
This is a little, but do you foresee the possibility of them providing parent education? Like there used to be, come to the school and someone's teaching love and logic, when love and logic was the thing. And it would be really nice, particularly for the kids with behavior issues, if parents had the opportunity to come learn.
Yeah,
I'm not saying, hey, let's do that.
Did you want to attend?
Next month? I would attend, actually.
We had an opportunity come up last year where the counties are often doing things related to CPS, and they get grants for parenting classes or whatever. And something came up, and the guy called me from Benton County, and he was like, "We're doing this CPS 6-week course for parents. Does anybody want to do that?"
And I could not go to any of them.
Yeah, well, we had a
That was
handful of
awesome.
parents who did go and said that it was really helpful. But it's not like Love and Logic where you can just come on Saturday and like do the thing. So I think it's kind of a more of a time commitment. But I foresee that happening again. And I know a couple of our staff members have definitely expressed a desire for the expanded training. It's many thousands of dollars, and I love Think Kids, the people who've done our trainings. They're excellent. But it is a little like a pyramid. So you have to like go to this training and then be trained to train the trainer to sell the Avon to do the, So there's some of that kind of cooked into their framework. And so all that to say, about $5,000 later, one of us could probably do this.
Personally, I don't know if that would be the best, because like you guys have so much on your plates already. Especially because I remember I think they taught it over at OSU. Like I don't know if it was college or the county, that taught it, but if we could definitely blast those out,
I'll keep an eye out for
anyone
'em.
point out like, hey, this is a chance for us for home and school to go ahead and get on the same page as far as responding to, like, that would be phenomenal if as those opportunities come up.
I'm gonna add something
taken care
to
of.
the goals about that, like maybe into the strategies.
Do you need us to vote on the goals, or
I think so.
I move? Oh,
Hold on before you move. I would like to see something about I didn't plan this out ahead of time to really say. I'd like to see something that includes more communication with the families. Like
more.
Similar to the thing I sent you that
yes.
right, not like
Outreach.
I want you to, call everyone, but I get this here a lot of like 3 times a week, and believe it or not, it's not irritating. And it's a tiny blurb. It's not like the newsletters you're sending out. It's a small bite size, and sometimes there's stuff going out now because they're trying to raise funds for the 7th graders going to DC.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it only goes to those parents, and I don't know how painful that would be to set up, but I'd like to see maybe an increase in that just bite size so that parents feel like they're getting this constant communication.
That is interesting because I know the feedback that I get, and the only reason I responded that way is the feedback I get from families is that we're
too much?
communicating way too much,
Okay.
and they're not able to
And
process, and so people stop reading the emails because it's like too many emails, and so we're always trying to figure out what is the one way that gets through people's filters, their emotional filters.
I may be that freak parent that
I'm the same. I love to have all the
opens
communications, but
at least glances through.
But maybe that's something I could ask the community, their opinion, and see what they.
In that regard,
If they read my email.
In some ways, I think it depends on what classroom it's in too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, 2nd grade, she's updating probably 2-3 times a week, giving updates on.
So
with
that's
pictures.
probably similar. It's
And-
just going through the main office at our school.
Yeah, and like she's going through Class Dojo on those updates. Like 1st grade, Miss Lindy does a great job. Like she's posting probably like once, twice a week. Kindergarten, maybe like once every 2-3 weeks.
She does more of
last
an
year.
email, yeah.
And
hers is a little different.
so I think it probably does depend a little bit on the classroom as well, and like how the teacher is incorporating Class Dojo.
It's true. And after you sent me that thing, Jackie, from Amy, it was interesting to me because Parent Square is the communication tool, and it's what my kids at school uses too. And it's like a no fun, no frills Class Dojo. There's no characters.
Doesn't ever send me something saying if you
doesn't
pay
ask you to
money,
pay?
It never asks you. And so I know, well, because I'm a big believer in the Class Dojo, but it's been problematic the last couple of years because of the insistence to pay, and because a
they
lot
have
of people are not.
tutors. I still get emails from them about tutors. I cut them off.
Oh, I
Yeah.
unsubscribe from all of the.
Yeah.
So
I got
this
the
is
app, but I
the
unsubscribe from all the Class Dojo emails.
this is the downside to a free tool, right?
Mhm.
So Parent Square is basically Class Dojo, but so you get communications that are filtered from classroom teachers, from specialist teachers, from the office, and then it compiles into a daily. Here's everybody's email to you, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. And so I actually have a sales call next week with them to see how much it costs. It's also, I think, what most of Corvallis is using. It doesn't have the other like classroom management stuff that I like, but it's also not gonna. I think it's less intrusive and it's more reliable because you are getting this email with all of the things. I enjoy using it as a parent, and I think it might make sense for us, but I have no idea how much it costs.
And I think that's a personal preference. I really don't care if there's a green monster.
Yeah. I just want.
I'd rather just have the.
I just want to find a way to get the message to families because I don't want them to filter us out. I need them to hear us. And so,
Right.
yeah, we've been
Yeah.
talking about that a lot.
I don't care if it's the old Mac green screen, like that black screen with the green text.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay.
That's
Well,
fine
now
too.
you can design the next one. The newsletters is a little bit beefy, but yeah, anyway, that's an idea that we're looking into. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I did want to think about doing the town hall thing again. It was just
I'd
nobody.
really appreciate as a parent having some say in that communication piece. I personally think I have a lot of issues with Dojo, honestly, of just how it works and how different teachers use it, and just yeah. I don't think it's the best communication tool, and I don't think that the badges are consistent, so I'm missing information unless I am getting in there every single day, and I don't like that about it. I would love to have a conversation with the families about what would be better. But I also just wanted to come back around to what Jackie said about like little bits of communication. I think that the newsletters are lovely and they're so fun to read. There are a lot of information, and it's like, I need to dedicate time to it. I could see a really happy medium being really successful where there's shorter communication on a more regular basis. And I mean, parents are always welcome to read them or not read them, but I find that when it's so few in between, like once a month, it's such a plethora of information that it kind of it's sometimes hard to remember what was said, or I'm not sure exactly know what the issue there, but I don't know. That's my intake.
Would you rather have
Oh wait, you guys! I just want to remind you guys that we're not supposed to be engaging with public.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Choice. It's just
Not
a
our
little-
choice. I know it can easily become like a conversation. So
However, any thoughts?
Sorry, I didn't realize that.
Emailed over.
it sounds like a survey might be coming out soon.
Appreciate those comments. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the reminder, Sarah. We always get into this because it's important, and then we digress, and then anyway we get off track. So that was why the
But you killed it.
training is like, don't do it, even though it makes total sense sometimes, like right now. Jessica, did you have any comments on these goals before we vote?
No, I appreciate the feedback and the talk. I don't think I have any more questions then. Thank you.
I thought you put a lot of thought in there, and I appreciate how you wove in what we've been working on in there. I think they're good. Any other last comments here?
Lester,
Yes.
do we have to have then an executive session to approve these?
No.
I don't think we need to approve, but when we do our evaluation, it would be an executive session. Does that sound right?
Okay.
I move that we approve Sarah's goal.
A second.
The goals that are on paper, or did you make some of the tweaks with the
I
class?
think the proofread, ad hoc
Yeah.
proofread as we go.
I will. Can we approve it with the changes that we discussed, the 20% and the parent community?
Jessica gave the second.
Thanks for that clarification, Patrick. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so you got 5 from all. I don't know what your vote is, though, Patrick.
I know you were waiting in suspense for that one.
I know. All day.
So everyone was 5.
Five.
Me too. I voted 5.
Love it.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else on our.
That's all I've got on the agenda.
I have a-
One more.
Well, I put the BLM thing on there, and I don't know if you guys feel comfortable approving me seeking that without.
Yes, get the money.
Okay,
Yes.
because if you can approve it now, I can home with all the info.
Before we
I missed the update. Can you just give me the 30-second? What is it?
I'm going to send you home with all of this, but it's basically $150,000 to the food, to create a food forest, an outdoor classroom, a sensory garden, a school farm ? Rewilding of the bottom half of the field, and then retracking the track. And then
Retracking the track?
Yeah, like moving the track a little. And then I just found out from Mika yesterday that the little like actual stream down there has been filled in. So we were gonna add
Restreaming
the stream and retreeing the trees. So that's
Did you say new greenhouse or regreening house the greenhouse?
new green. Well,
Good.
I hope new.
Yeah, 'cause
Or
the kids are like,
they're really, yeah, it needs to be more sturdy. And then, and the vision of what all that may look like and cost is in this thing that you're going to take home today. But right now it's worded for $100,000, but we wanted to add the stream and some hardware on the greenhouse. So
What's the name of the grant?
BLM Educational Assistance Grant.
can any of that money go towards
Staff?
Yeah.
Yes.
staff?
Jessica moves that Sarah pursue the BLM Educational Assistant Grants. We need to add any extra verbiage.
As fast as possible.
Post haste.
I second that because come January, I've heard a lot of things with grant approval and disbursement will be changed.
Yeah.
So the faster we can go and get that submitted, the better.
They're anxious to give us money. So
You're anxious to receive.
I don't get to vote.
Does anybody vote not 5? I'm not looking up this.
I see 5. Karen says 5.
10.
All right.
Go to bed.
Yeah, thank you. Michael, Emily, Alex, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, Tom and Nicole, we're really thrilled that you joined us as well. Thank you very much for everybody's doing. And Sarah, thank you for all your work there.
Hey, before you adjourn, I've got
Yeah.
one small thing.
Okay.
I noticed that when I was looking at some stuff, I noticed that you're on the board email, like the board email dispersion list.
I did put myself on there just to make sure that the emails were going out. I can take myself off there now that you guys are all using your board emails.
No, we're not.
correct?
No, we're not.
Jackie still needs some help, but we'll get that sorted out.
Jackie's respectfully declining. She doesn't want a third email to check. It won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you just.
You may set it up to forward.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Or put it on your phone so it's all in the same place.
But yeah, I think probably wise to go ahead and have you removed from there. Just not saying it's going to happen, but in case something comes in where
You want to
anonymity
talk
is needed.
about me and all the things. I understand.
We can't really talk much in an email anyway. But, yeah.
You want Dojo?
No, that would be a quorum, and we
It's just memes. It's
Still
just
live streaming.
political memes. That's all it is.
Yeah, nice. No, I will definitely take myself off, but I did want to test and make sure it was working.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Alex, Michael, if you did want to pursue the board, the next meeting would be your second, and then we can get you an application. So,
Do I have to
Karen,
wear
happy fishing.
clothing or hat for that costume?
Ooh, you do have to bring treats.
Okay. Good move.
Oh, one last thing before Sarah, are we still looking for coffee runners?
No, Patrick just agreed to do the last one.
Okay, terrific. Let's load those teachers up with caffeine and sugar for the long haul.
I put out little reminders for everybody who's here, but Karen and Lester, if you want to swing by, Jamie, I don't know if Jamie ever made it onto the call, but I'll keep your packets and your goodies for when you come by next.
I'll pick them up. I'm arriving in the middle of the night Monday, either Monday or Tuesday. I'll grab it. Thank you.
And then I'm giving everybody a homework packet. It's just a lot of reading because it is hard to read on computers, and these are a lot of reading.
And the way, so this is like proofreading
For next, it's
or
for next time. We've got the BLM grant for curiosity, the bylaws, and then just for fun, I threw in a proposed racing chart to consider next month.
I don't love that name.
Well, I know, it's like racist, but it's not, and it's meant to be a clear way to understand who does what.
It sounds like rat poison, but
So
all right.
it's if you guys ever, if you understand how races work, you can have that, and if you want me to walk through it with you, I'm happy to do that. But we can maybe talk about it more. It's a document that exists, it is woefully out of date, and I thought, in conjunction with our policies updates, it might make sense to update it.
Perfect.
There
All
are
right.
areas that I don't really know what you guys think, and that's what you're supposed to be looking at.
All right, let's call it at 11:30.
No?
It's not 11:30.
8:30. 8:30. Okay, thanks. Get some rest.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
I don't see purple.